never be able to out-gangster white people. What the hell's the sense in trying something if you're not going to be the best at it? You still in car radios. You still in flat screens. Well, the white man stole you. Top that. You're not going to beat him at stealing, so don't stop trying it. No, the original gangsters is not the brothers that were in Crippin' and Blood on the West Coast. The original gangsters are the Celts, the Nomads, the Vikings, the Goths, the Visigoths, the Anglo-Saxons. In other words, the OGs are the cave tribes in Europe. These are the original gangsters. You are not a thug, black man. You are not a gangster. You are a god when you're really in yourself.
We're not against rap. We're not against rappers. But we are against those thugs.
Hey everyone, of the person that came in my comments on my last video and said, your glasses are big and on your nose and ugly. I brought out my biggest glasses I have in my closet. Enjoy, I hope it's not too distracting. Do y'all think I wear my glasses for y'all or for me? Okay. Today we're going to be talking about rap music. How it's changed, what it's become, how it was, violence in music and violence in general. So this is going to be a long video, but get your notepads out because I want you guys to explore with me. This isn't concrete. This is just a bunch of theories and thoughts and research that I've compiled into one big video. Violence doesn't start with rap. It starts in concentrated areas of poverty. It starts with exclusion. It starts with a history of systematic issues. Rap, in fact, reflect these struggles. It doesn't cause them. Let's think about it, y'all. Rap music, before it even existed, we had violence. Organized crime in cities like Chicago wasn't pushed by rap music. During the Prohibition era, Italian mobs like Al Capone ruled the streets. Was he led by rap music? Scottish gangs in places like Glasgow also terrorized cities long before rap was even a thought. The violence in these communities come from poverty, control over illegal industries, and fighting for resources, not music. Even today, cartels wreak havoc and they aren't influenced by rap. Even though Spanish rappers and Spanish gangsters, they make music about the violence. Understand that the first street gangs in America emerged after the American Revolution, long before rap. Irish, Italian, and Jewish gangs were among those first gangs. They terrorized neighborhoods, to say the least.
Fuck, it was hell on earth, is what it was. The Irish mob war of Boston was the bloodiest mob war in American history. 60 bodies were left laying on the streets during the war. Another 60 or 90 they didn't find them. And people were getting clipped left and right.
And in the 1800s, they didn't need music to fuel their violence. In fact, the Irish gangsters of New York City, the names were the Dead Rabbits, the Bowery Boys, the 40 Thieves. They all waged war in the streets without a single verse or rap to push them. By the 20th century, the faces of gangs had changed, so the faces were now black people and Hispanic people. Immigrants and later black communities found themselves in the same slums fighting for limited resources. The Crips, for example, were originally formed to protect their turf and their people, but as resources got scarcer, the violence escalated. Do you want to know why? This is because urban communities are starved for resources. To claim rap music is the only thing that causes violence, especially in black communities, it's not only misguided, but it's also very dangerous. It implies that crime in the black community is our fault. In the great words of our brother Malcolm X, it's like cutting the leg off a chicken and getting mad that it can't run.
That is what aspects or what problems this program will deal with besides youth crime?
Well, when you say youth crime, you see, what the thing people forget is the thing that which makes our people turn toward crime is the society in which we live, the social pressures that we live under. And these pressures are actually initiated by the white man himself. But see, the white man is so shrewd, he's like a serpent that will bite a lamb, and then when the lamb can't run well, like the other sheep can, he'll accuse the lamb of being lazy. And he won't admit that it is his poison that he has put inside the lamb that has made this lamb appear to be defective. And it's the same way when he says about this crime business. The white man brings dope into the Negro community, whiskey into the Negro community. He organizes gambling in the Negro community, and prostitution and all types of immorality. And then when Negroes become addicted or afflicted or the victims of this crime, he starts talking about Negro crime. No, we don't go for that. The white man is the criminal who has authored this crime. And the Honorable Elijah Muhammad's religion points these things out. He makes black people see it, and black people stop thinking that they're the ones who are at fault. They put the fault where it belongs. It belongs right at the White House door, or right at the door of the white man.
Thank you very much, Mr. Malcolm.
You're welcome, sir.
It takes the responsibility off of systematic oppression, economic discrimination, climate discrimination that we face on a daily basis. All of this is rooted in racist ideals. This narrative conveniently forgets that black communities have historically become victims of violence and exclusion, often from other groups and the system itself. While we are seeing a rise in mainstream drill and rap, and by extension a rise in mainstream gang culture and crime, it's important to consider that this behavior is in concentrated areas. The idea that crime is rampant in certain communities is true, but only for a specific group of people within these environments. For this type of behavior to emerge, certain conditions must be in place, such as concentrated poverty, lack of support, absence of parental guidance. This often happens because families are forced into survival mode. Top that off by mass incarceration in our communities, labeling of young black children as deviants in a money-hungry system which doesn't want prison reform and will send a young child to prison and put them in a chair or in solitary. You have a huge recipe for disaster. This lack of wealth building opportunities is also reflected in the way that many black people spend their money. Often when black people do get a little bit of wealth, what's the first thing we do? We go shop at Gucci, we go shop at, what's that place called? Hermes, Gucci, Louis Vuitton, Dior. Even if they turn their nose up at us and say, are you stealing? Even if they look at us like, hurry up and buy, we're gonna still sit there and want to shop and want to show them that we have that money. This is coming from capitalism. This is coming from consumer culture. Especially in capitalistic societies, it encourages people to show their success through material goods. Capitalism supports billionaires and large corporations while leaving us that's earning $20 an hour to $25 an hour as a small part of a big system. A study found that workers are living paycheck to paycheck. As black people, we often find ourselves serving others and coming home. We're tired, we're exhausted, we're unable to properly care for our families, especially if you're a black woman leading a household on your own. This creates a survival mentality where people are stuck in a cycle of just getting by, which is compounded by systematic barriers like high childcare costs. And at the same time, there's a pressure to assimilate into white culture, to move to the suburbs and leave behind our roots and our communities to chase wealth in systems that weren't even built for us. This can be very frustrating as it forces black people to choose between surviving in disadvantaged, poor neighborhoods or going to the white neighborhood and assimilating to their culture. This is why I don't blame low-income families who are only trying to survive. They often don't have the resources to even ensure that their kids are safe and off the streets and not causing trouble. In fact, 46% of black children live in single-parent households. And if that one parent is working, who do you think is watching them? Especially with the fact that most black households are split apart nowadays. All of what we just talked about, it matters. It matters because we are putting the puzzle pieces together as to why we have these thoughts about single families, single mothers, and we have these unrealistic expectations for every African American in the world to be able to keep eyes on their child. You know, I have a lot of conversations with foreign people, with people from the diaspora in Africa, and one of the first things they say is that African Americans, we're rowdy and, you know, we don't have no guidance, we're doing things and That's one of their arguments. Compared to most immigrants that's coming into this country who have their family, even if they're in another country, a lot of the times you still have that familial support to keep you in line. If they step out of line, their parents will correct them in a second. If not their parents, their aunt, their uncle, their cousins, their grandma. I know so many of my people, they don't talk to their aunt, their uncle, their cousins, their grandma. They're messy. They don't talk to none of these people because they're messy. So you can't really hold us to the same standard, because historically our families have been broken apart. Our families have been split apart. And put that on top of the fact that this world is just individualistic as hell. We are just a different type of people. You know, you do have your family-oriented people. Like, if this is not your story, then let it fly. But I know too many people who are great people, by the way, who just don't have that familial support because of like old black trauma and thoughts. This is important because this is how people build up to going to do something like commit a crime. This is how people build up to doing something like becoming a rapper. You have to be in a certain type of environment. And I don't think anything is wrong with rapping. I mean, if you want to rap about good things, if you want to rap about what's going on around you, then cool. I feel like it's a creative expression. It's an art. That's why I always say the most intelligent people come out of the hood. A lot of people, they turn their nose up like, oh, I don't want to go back there. But a lot of people don't have a choice. Some people live there. That's their life. Their grandma lives there. Their cousins live there. They go back there all the time. I want people to understand that it's a process to how people get to the point where they are committing crimes. They are rapping and they are throwing their life away. And this is not an excuse at all. And we're going to get into that. So let's take this back, y'all. Rap is originally a form of poetry. It's a rhythmic expression of raw emotions over beats. It emerged from the cultural movement of hip-hop in the Bronx during the early 1970s. And what was happening in the Bronx during that time? Poverty, drugs, gang, violence. I mean, does it sound familiar? Rap wasn't glorifying the violence though. It was documenting it. And it's much how 18th century artists painted the horrors of war. I personally like to look at war paintings, and that would be like me saying, you're glorifying war because you're painting it. No, it's not glorifying war. No. And I don't know if that was a good comparison. Y'all go tell me if it wasn't. But I kind of feel like I hit that on the head. War happens, and there were literally like people before we had documentation and cameras. They would paint the war, and all you saw was like dead bodies and swords on beautiful pastel oil. So, I mean, was that glorifying? I don't know. I can say that rap has evolved into something more like a sport, losing much of its original poetic touch. Let's start by talking about artists in the past who would speak about violence, but it was often framed in a way that made it clear where they understood it was wrong. Take Boogie Down Productions, for example, who released a track called Love's Gonna Get You, where KRS-One tells a story about falling into the trap of selling drugs. He's poor, he's hungry, he only owns 2 pair of pants. His mom is poor, his mom is working. He meets a drug dealer. Drug dealer tells him how to sell some drugs, and he goes out there and he does that. He makes his money. But the story ends with all his friends getting shot, him getting shot at. They got a shootout with the police. It's truthful. He's saying love's gonna get you. You love all these material things, but it's gonna get you.
A lot of people out here, they say, I love my car, or I love my chain, or I'm just in love with that girl over there. So for all the people out there that fall in love with material items, we're gonna bump the beat a little something like this.
Let's talk also about one of my personal favorites, Scarface. Scarface made such great music, y'all. He made a whole song which was catchy as hell called Hand of the Dead Body, where he literally talks about the fact that gangsters don't live that long.
In world news today, officials decree that rapper Brad joined the alias Scarface must be stopped. After being monitored by Secret Service agents for 2 years, evidence leads tobacco and firearms officials to believe that his literally dope lyrics promote drug usage and distribution, degrade women, influence gambling, promote and teach violence, and more importantly, it's influencing our minors and destroying our community. Officials say he's a lord of underground rap. Him and his music must be stopped.
We got this whole motherfucker on the mission. Now the whole entire world has gotta try to come up with the quick decision. They claim we threats to society. And now they're calling on the government to try to make somebody quiet me for the bullshit they done to me. Gangsta Nip Spice Warden the Tupac never gave a gun to me. So gangsta rap ain't done shit for that. I've even seen white folks from River Oaks go get the cat. So why you trying to kick some dust up? America's always been known for blaming us niggas for they fuck-ups. And we were always considered evil. Now they're trying to bust the only code of communicating with our people. Let's beat the game from a different angle. Matt Dillon pulled his pistol every time him when someone tangled. So why you criticize me for the shit that you see on your TV that rates worse than PG? Just bring your ass to where they got me, so you can feel the hand of the dead body.
Nigga, don't believe that song. That nigga's wrong. Gangsters don't live that long.
This is not our rap today. I will agree with y'all. You would never hear a Lil Durk. You would never hear a Young and Ace. You would never hear a moneybaggyo telling you gangsters don't live that long. Telling you that although this is your creative expression, this is the way that you want to express yourself, and a white man trying to take that from you, gangsters don't live that long if you do decide to go down that. I understand how today rap has shifted towards glorifying violence in a way where we've never seen it before. Instead of framing it as a negative or something to escape, many modern rappers publicly brag about who they've killed and taunt others over the death of their rivals.
Let's talk about off, let's talk about drill, let's talk about dead off. I gotta listen, ain't one by one, they all got blicks. I need y'all to listen and pay attention. I'm tired of the acting, I'm tired of the game. If I got hit in the head, he tried to swim at the pool. Big baby got caught in the morning on the bus, was going to school. Quan had died in the suburbs, remember that shit hit the news? Top got hit in his top, down hit to that his tool. Cause that boy was a fighter, but he got lit like a lighter. When should I die, get fooled? I heard he pulled out like a diaper. Damn. Hey, I heard liver was sliding, he died with strike like a tiger. Hey, Shondell got kidnapped, he should've prayed like a Bible. And Bendo died together, I'm smoking fast forever. I can feel him die here, feather. Heard they call Nate and they stressed him. Put that hot shit in Nate's life. Lil Sure died on the bike. On cloud used to be home, but I'm still smoking no mic.
This trend is degenerate. This is a degenerate trend. I can see why people argue that this new wave of rap might be influencing others to think that this behavior is acceptable or cool. I won't argue that. What I'm arguing is that rap music don't cause violence. But this mess, I won't argue that this new sector of drill rap is not cool, it's not poetic, there's nothing thoughtful about it. It's honestly the lowest vibrational music that you can ever do or think of. It's the lowest vibration of frequency you can be at to even make that type of music. No accountability, responsibility in that. So I do understand what y'all are saying on that end. But throughout history, even turf wars, there was always a code of action. Like we had the Italians, they had their code. They're not going around doing certain things and hurting certain people. And they were really like particular about, we don't even want the police on us. So let's pay attention to how we move. Nowadays though, people go viral for doing the most heinous things, and all the negative attention can actually get them famous. Black people's crimes are constantly posted online, sensationalized, and at the same time, European, even black music owners are profiting off of that. They know that if you hire black people from rough backgrounds to make violent music, those people are going to be desperate for money. It's kind of like how the army goes into the hood all the time to go get their soldiers. This is literally the same thing. So again, I still wouldn't blame the artists. Yes, they're an adult. Yes, they could take accountability, but this is being framed to them as a positive. They don't exactly know that this is a negative yet, that these European people are preying on them and they're making them into a caricature and they're making money off of them that they would never see. This is helping rappers though, because this is helping them get to that capitalistic dream that they're striving to get at. You gotta understand, like, majority of male rappers, which is who I'm really talking about right now, they are trying to do the same thing that most men in America are trying to do, protect and provide. And when you don't have a way to do that because you don't have the right education or you're not coming from the right environment, this can be the easiest way to do that. I kind of understand why they would go into rapping and why they would do that as a way to take care of their family. That gangster or brute black man, which is just this modern day stereotype, is profitable. It's very profitable, just like the black over-sexualized woman is very profitable. While it's easy to criticize though, we gotta remember that these people are just doing what they know, what's easiest to them, and they don't have the resources to know more. We would like them to know more. We gotta use our resources where we use our resources. If a person isn't trying to change, we're not gonna focus on them. We're just gonna move right to the next. Let's talk about violence as a whole. We just talked about capitalism and why black men or black women even may choose to go into the music industry and work a job like that where you're being degraded or you're playing a caricature. So let's talk about violence itself. Like, what makes violence so innate in people? Violence isn't new. We know this. And it certainly isn't limited to one group of people or one genre of music. Look back at history. Same-race violence has happened within every nationality. It's not an issue exclusive to black people. It's just that we are the smallest group of people in America. We make up 14% of the population, so of course our crimes are amplified compared to everybody else's. But this isn't caused by rap. This isn't caused by any of that. This has always happened. In the 1950s, people were asking the same questions as us. They were trying to figure out what caused violence. At first, they thought that it was innate. They thought that we were just born violent. You know, we just woke up like, damn, I want to smash a face in. But by the 1950s, they realized that violence was tied to economic factors, at least for the most part. And it wasn't an innate flaw in humanity. So even in the wealthiest societies, there were still impoverished people, and they would lead to violence because seeing these wealthy people. So this is what I'm saying about those concentrated areas being the violent areas. Even if you're in a wealthy neighborhood and you're like, oh, it's crime coming into wealthy neighborhoods too. That's because it's poor people in wealthy neighborhoods too. You gotta understand that. But a lot of y'all are stuck in y'all own suburban bubble that you don't realize who your neighbors are. So stay with me. I just want us to understand that many studies have been done on violence. There's been studies done on our closest animal cousin, not the furry, but the monkey. I know a lot of people don't like humans being compared to monkeys, but we're going off of science right now. We're going off of science. So if you don't want to go off of science, you can go. Scientists discover insights about crime by studying our close animal cousins, but not our really, really close animal cousins. These are the capuchin monkeys.
Is that good? Yeah?
Researchers like Franz Delwall and Sarah Brosnan designed an experiment to explore how primates respond to unequal treatment. In the test, monkeys exchanged tokens for food rewards. When one monkey received a better treat than the other one, the less rewarded monkey will resort to violence, prostitution, robbery. Yes, I said robbery. Those monkeys will begin fighting, stealing from each other, just angry monkeys. I'm not trying to say that we're angry monkeys, but I am trying to bring up the similarities in the fact that monkeys just would get irritated when they would be stacked on top of each other, when they would be too crowded, when they would be treated unfairly, when another monkey would get more than them, which is fair. I would be mad too. I'm stacked on top of people. I don't have enough food and you do. I don't have enough money and you do. It could just cause anger. It could just cause like a lot of problems, worry, fears. We gotta realize that just like them, we crave personal space. Nobody wants to be stacked in a ghetto. Nobody wants to be stacked in a slum. Your child going to school getting beat up. This is the problems that's living in a hood. I mean, that would make some people just say, okay, we're getting the heck out. But other people who just don't have an idea of how to do that, they would just say, I need the work to just make sure my child will be okay and get the latest Gucci. I don't know, like, I don't really understand the ideology, but we gotta get them grace. Beyond that, ghettos in America wasn't even created by accident. It's not an accident that these uncomfortable neighborhoods was created. They were actually created during the Nazi Party for Jews. They were deliberately designed through a combination of policies and urban planning that kept Black Americans isolated from wealthier, predominantly white suburbs. After World War II, redlining by the Federal Housing Administration ensured that Black families were denied access to home loans. Beyond financial barriers, the physical design of these buildings played a significant role in keeping Black residents away from the suburbs. Many urban ghettos were built with literal barriers such as highways, railroads, and divisions, trains that can stop you, if you're in that city, from going to the suburbs, or at least make it harder and things. If you look into different suburbs, a lot of them usually don't have a public bus system going through it. So in Atlanta, there's a MARTA. If you're looking into suburbs in Georgia, you're not going to see a MARTA going through there. And same thing in places like Indiana, same thing like places in Chicago. You're not going to see a PACE bus or a CTA bus going through certain suburbs in those areas. And that's for a reason. They don't want outcoming traffic coming into their suburb from the city. With all that being said, these physical and financial barriers limited mobility and reinforced the separation between the city and the suburbs, making it impossible if you're in those ghettos to escape these conditions. So, is it rap music, or is the resources in a poor community and a black community just extremely scarce? If we compare gangs to the military, and yes, I said the military, that wasn't no slip up. US gangs practically model themselves after the military, which they take a lot from them. They use military weaponry, they use military jargon like squad, platoon, and I don't even want to get into all the other similarities. And that the FBI, CIA, military, they're all gangs. Like, they're all American gangs. Call it what you want. If these gangs can't operate in that way, go on other people's turf, go on other people's land, steal their stuff, shoot them down, pillage their village, just do all types of terrible things. War is brutal, war is terrible. Nothing's off the table. War crimes do exist. But that being said, gangs operate in their neighborhoods the same way. They're fighting for power, resources, and money. And America undeniably glorifies the violence, from its massive military spending to the way that soldiers are celebrated as heroes, while people in marginalized communities are vilified for using similar tactics. The US spends nearly $1 trillion on war, while we're poor and we're starving. This dynamic reveals the parallels between inner city violence and the military. Street violence, often driven by hunger for survival and money, pales in comparison to the systematic violence executed by these institutions like the CIA, FBI, and the military, who operate with state-sanctioned authority. Gangs in urban communities may seek power and it may seek respect through violence, but it's a form of survival. These people really can't do what the CIA, what the military, what all of them is doing. And even these gangs that's in other countries and these big gang organizations that's in other countries, they're putting so much money down that they are a part of the government in other countries. Same thing with the US Army and military. That's how they move. That's what they do. They're not only using wealth, violence, power, they're using it all. We just want that power. We're using violence, but we have no wealth to back it. Even that little street drug money, that ain't nothing like what these big state sanctioned criminals have. The truth is that I don't believe the violence started with rap, and I don't believe it's going to end with rap. Let's just say that. It's built into the fabric of this country. From wars we wage overseas to the wars fought right here on this soil. That's all I gotta say about that. That's my deep dive. So what did you all think? Did you all like see where I was going with that? What do you guys think about all the information that I literally just gave y'all? Did y'all learn anything? And if you did, just let me know. This has just been something that I've been thinking about for a long time. Some pieces that I've been putting together and just my theory on things as a whole. So let me know what you think. Let me know your thoughts. And in general, I know some people are going to say too that I should say what people should do instead to fix these problems. And the truth is, I don't have an answer. I don't have like one straight answer of what we could do to fix these problems. I just say rebuild our communities, build schools, build hospitals, like private own our shit. So that's basically all I got, like, as far as like an answer. As far as crime, as far as poverty, we got to fix that ourselves. More of us just need to get on the same accord in doing that and help our people who are lost and just bring the resources to them, because they're not going to come to us. They're just not. So that's all, y'all. Hope you enjoyed this video, and I'll see you in the next one. Mwah.